Alrighty. Good morning or afternoon, everyone, depending on the time zone that you're in. As Patricio said, my name is Desiree. I'm a published author of Winning the Silent Battle, Exposing 8 Lies Hindering Your Mental Health. And today, I've got a story to tell y'all. So, today I want to talk to you, just sharing a bit about some of my own mental health challenges and victories, some as most recent as yesterday. So, a little bit about myself. My 9 to 5 job is selling insurance. I am licensed in 4 states to sell property, casualty, and life insurance. Been doing that for a bit over 5 years now. I work in my dad's agency, and it's been rewarding in so many ways, and it has challenged and grown me in so many ways. Like, doing this job, I feel like I got a fast track to adulting because I learned so many things that people should know when wanting to buy a house and looking at different properties. And it's taught me a lot in terms of managing my own finances and making sure that I have things set and in order with that. It's been really good, but it's also been really challenging as well. I do a lot of sales and I do a lot of customer service. And with both of those, you're always going to put your best foot forward because you want the customer's best interest at heart. And at the end of the day, you can't please everyone, which is a real struggle for me because I tend to be a people pleaser. I want everyone to be happy, and I want everyone to get along with each other. That's my heart, typically in a day-to-day situation there. And sometimes when doing my job, you get really angry customers for a variety of reasons. And sometimes their anger is 100% justified, and other times you're just like, I'm not the person that you are angry with. I'm not the person that you should be directing this to. You need to step off. Can't really say that because, then they get even angrier and all that. But it's a good practice in keeping my tongue because I can be really sassy and attitudey sometimes. But it's also been a good check for me because sometimes, especially when I first started, having customers who were really angry and like screaming at me, it really weighed down on me throughout the rest of my day. Because I'm sitting here thinking, oh no, I didn't help this customer. I didn't, do what they wanted or needed. And at the end of the day, I realized that I was believing a lie about myself. And the lie that I was believing was, I am not enough. And we can feel that way with our jobs, with our work, with parenting, with a whole mess of things. I'm not a parent, but I imagine that struggle comes up. And I just want to take a minute to just encourage any of you, if you've ever felt like overwhelmed in your own job or overwhelmed in life, like you are enough to handle what is being given to you and what is being thrown at you. In my job, I am the only one in the office primarily Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. So I'm doing the bulk of everything in regards to trying to meet sales quotas and trying to make sure everyone's, payments are in on time and everyone understands, the products that they have. A lot of people have questions about their insurance because they just don't understand. And I'll be completely honest with you. I only understand it because I'm licensed in it. There's so many ins and outs. And there are times when customers will blatantly tell me your best is not enough for me. There's this switch that goes, I'm sorry, what did you just say? There gets to be this moment where you want to jump up and say sorry, excuse you, you need to sit your butt down, and you want to set them straight. But at the end of the day, they're not the ones that need to be set straight, because at the end of the day, they're not the ones that determine your worth. They're not the ones that determine my worth. My worth comes from Jesus and him alone. So there are times when people tell me that, and I have to remind myself, God looks at me and says, you are enough. Where you are right now, you are enough. Because God knows every single flaw that I have. He knows every single mistake I've ever made. He knows all of that. And he still says, I choose you because I see your growth. I see everything in you. And you are capable of doing this. You are capable of this assignment. A good friend of mine, he got a promotion in a financial position a couple years ago, and he mentioned that it was really overwhelming, and in moments like that where it's like, oh, hi, I'm like in over my head, it's easy to be like, yeah, I bit off more than I can chew. I just need to, step back, go back into this old role. Or you can say, okay, God, well, you say that I am enough. I need strategies for what's about to happen. I need strategies for how to best orient myself in this work environment. And he like fully admitted, like, if I weren't leaning into God, I don't know if I would be able to do this. And it is amazing to one see that humility in him, because he's someone that I've always seen as very strong, capable leader. Like, give him a challenge, he will like chop it up and take care of it any which way you need to. And to hear him like admit and say this, that was very like humbling and encouraging for me, to know that like there are going to be times when that stuff's going to come at you in life. There's no two ways about it. And to know that God says, hey, I have a strategy for you, and you're enough. You are capable. You can do this. Like, there have probably been times when, looking back at teenage me would not have been able to like be in a position where I have to handle a lot of criticism from other customers, sometimes from my boss. And it can be a lot sometimes, but in those times you have to remember, it's like, okay, who does God say that I am? Another really important thing to remember is to choose to have peace. So I'm gonna pull up my notes. Hopefully the video still stays here. But last time we were talking together, I talked about peace. Well, actually, I talked about the fruits of the Spirit that is mentioned in Galatians chapter 5, verses 22 and 23. Says, now the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such things there is no law. Peace is interesting because you usually hear people talk about peace around Christmas time. They're like, oh yeah, peace on earth, goodwill towards men, all that. That's great, that's awesome. But then after Christmas, no one really talks about it. And it's like, hey, we talk about the fruit of the Spirit. And yes, everyone wants to talk about love. Valentine's Day is coming up. Everyone's like, oh yes, love, joy, all of that going around. But no one talks a lot about peace. And peace is really important because it's part of the fruit of the Spirit that we are called to bear in our lives. But it's also so much more than that. Because peace is meant to be something that walks with us and is with us and guarding us each and every day of our lives. I want to read a scripture for you. It's from Philippians chapter 4, verse 6. And it says, do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, and whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Whatever you have learned or received or heard from me or seen me put into practice, and the peace of God will be with you. Wow. So there's a lot in there. And one verse that sticks out to me, where it says the peace of God that transcends all understanding. Like, God's peace does not make sense to the rest of the world. God's peace does not make sense in a normal day-to-day situation that we may find ourselves in. And that's okay. It's not supposed to, because the peace of God is part of the heavenly realm. And the heavenly realm, we can study and ask questions all of our lives, but we're never going to fully understand it. And that's okay. You don't have to understand all the ins and outs. You can just say, God, you say peace is for me. I want your peace. And it also in that verse talks about meditating on whatever is good and whatever is lovely. I had a situation yesterday at work. I literally had to step back for a few minutes and say, okay, I just need a minute. And a situation, there was a customer who had canceled some policies because price wasn't, where she wanted it to be. I had worked with this customer time and time again to try to get it as low as I could, but at the end of the day, I can't control their rate. She canceled her policies. Unfortunately, there was another policy that she had not canceled, and now it had canceled due to non-pay. So now there's a final balance owed. And there's this back and forth with this. And another representative had called me and it's like, hey, such and such customers on the phone. They said they don't want to speak with you, but I don't know how to handle this. So I was like, hey, this is what's going on, and these are their options, which, the previous client did not like, and I'm sorry, but sometimes you're not going to like what you are given as a solution to a problem. That doesn't make it bad. That just means it's something that you don't like, and you're going to have to accept it. Sorry. Anyway, the previous customer started calling other departments trying to find like another potential solution, another potential answer. And I went in to put notes on the on file like you're supposed to after every phone call. And I was reading the notes from the previous rep who had spoken with me. Apparently, this customer said their reason for leaving our company was because of me. And I was like, oh, is that how you feel today? In my head, I've literally done everything that I possibly could to try to help. And it's easy to want to get really offended and really defensive. So I had to take a minute. It's like, okay, this isn't going to serve them for me to call back and yell. It's not going to serve me to keep replaying this over and over in my head. I still have 6 hours left of my day. Like, I can't keep going through my day like this. So I took a step back and I just I kind of vented to myself, because I was frustrated, and just getting it out, that helps to just speak and vent a little bit. That's okay. You don't go getting on the phone and yelling at whoever it is that you're angry at. Never have confrontational conversations when you are feeling angry or agitated, because you are going to say things that you do not mean. You're going to say things that you cannot take back. And in the end, you might end up adding fuel to the fire and gaslighting and doing things that will make the situation ultimately worse as opposed to better. When to have confrontational conversations, we'll talk about that another time. This instance was not a time to have a confrontational conversation, so I had to deal with that on my own. And I vented, talked it over with myself. It's like, okay, got it all out. What do I need to make sure that the rest of my day is, a good day, a successful day? And I remembered, the peace of God that transcends all understanding, and said, okay, I can choose two options. I can choose continuing to be angry and upset about this situation with this customer, or I can choose to be at peace. God, I want to be at peace. Will you fill me with your peace? Because that is what I want to focus on. That is what I want to carry me through the rest of my day. And I could feel God's peace coming over me. And normally that would not make sense, because confession, I have a bad habit of holding grudges. I am trying very hard not to be that person. And it's been a work in progress, and I'm much better now than I used to be. Still continuing to be a work in progress, but learning to say, okay, I choose to have this peace, to be a person of peace right now, and allow peace to guard my heart and to guard my mind. Because if I'm not focusing on what is good and lovely and focusing on this one customer who, not my favorite person at that exact moment, then I'm just sending myself in a spiral and continuing to go through the day with this bad attitude, because I'm not focusing in on what is good and lovely. It's really important to make a conscious shift in our mind to say, I'm not going to focus on this negative part of my day. And our minds, I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I notice my mind immediately wants to go to the negative. There could be 50 positive things that happen throughout the day, but that one negative thing, oh, I can't believe that negative thing happened. No, Like, there's so many good things. Like, God has goodness for you. He has goodness for you that He wants to shower over you each and every day. He puts rainbows in the sky to remind us of His promises. The sun is shining. Yes, it's cold, it's winter, but the sun is shining. You have so many things to be grateful for. A customer who called and said, hey, I was really not understanding this billing situation, and you broke it down in a way that I understood. Thank you. I talked to 3 other reps and was just getting frustrated, so thank you. It's like, oh, yay. But this is this is good. This is nice. And there are days, even this past week actually, where it seems like, oh, great, I'm putting out all the fires today because everyone's calling with some issue with their policy or their billing or claim, and they're all angry. And you gotta maneuver and walk around that. It's easy to allow that stuff to weigh you down. But when you remember that peace is meant to guard your heart and guard your mind, and to choose that and to confess that, it is so important not to just know that and somewhere in your head, but to confess it and let that be a revelation that sinks down into your heart, a truth that you grab a hold of. It is so vital and so important. When you choose that peace, everything else just fades away. And sometimes you got to do it continually. And that's okay. That's okay. Do it continually if you need to, but choose God's peace because it's so important. Our bodies were not made to bear the weight of anxiety that we can put on ourselves, that others can try to pile onto us. Choose peace. Choose peace. And sometimes choosing peace means I need to take 5 minutes away from phones right now, because I don't really trust what's going to come out, and that's okay. Take the 5 minutes, breathe, pray, talk it out, say, okay, God, I'm sorry, I've vented now, like I want your peace, because that is what's going to sustain me. God's peace will sustain and carry you. I'll tell you another moment when I needed God's peace. And this moment came around Christmas Eve a couple years ago. So Christmas Eve a couple years ago, my dad decided to tell me that he was leaving his wife and that his girlfriend was going to be coming to family dinner. And he wanted me to make her feel welcome and everything else. And I'd known that they were having marital problems for a while, but me being hopeful, optimistic me, I'm like praying and interceding for them and wanting everything to work out. And then when this hit, like, I needed God's peace so desperately. And I'm not going to get into all the ins and outs with that situation because that's a story for another time, another day. But I remember praying and asking God, like, what's going on? And I remembered the day before that this happened, I had a supernatural peace throughout the entire day. Like, it was as if someone had hit me with a tranquilizer dart. That's how much peace that I felt. And looking back, that peace, I know, was God's way of saying, hey, I've got you in this. I've got you in your life. And everything that you see going around, that does not have to define you. That does not have to follow you. That does not have to be your story. That does not have to be your outcome later in your life. Like, I've got you. I've got your dreams. Trust me. That was what his peace was that day. And I'm so grateful for that, because the months and years that followed, like, there was a lot of rockiness. There was a lot of turmoil. So I had to go back and remember, like, God gave me this peace as his protection, as his guard, saying, I've got you. And I'm going to see you through all of this. When we are in the midst of our day-to-day struggles, whatever it may be, it could be a stressful, demanding job. It could be stressful, demanding toddlers. They don't mean to be, they just, they're kids. They're learning. Just confess that verse in Philippians over yourself. Like, I'm going to focus on what is good and pure and lovely. And God, you promised a peace that would transcend my understanding. And I want that peace. I want that peace to be a guard over my mind and a guard over my heart. Peace is meant to be a bouncer for you. Like, you know those movies, I say movies because I've never gone to a club, where you have the bouncer and he's like, I'm sorry, who are you? I need your ID. Are you on the list? You're not. Sorry, go. This ain't for you. You need to go somewhere. And some people are like so desperate to like get in. Like, no, I want to be a part of this. And bouncer's like, yeah, sorry, no. Like, peace is meant to be that in our mind. And the people in line that are trying to get in, like, they're all the anxious thoughts. They're all the people who want to talk down to you for this reason or that reason. And peace is meant to be the bouncer to say, no, you are not welcome here. And we need to allow peace to be that bouncer. Because at the end of the day, like, yes, it is given by God, but it is our choice to let peace do what it is supposed to do. And if we are not allowing peace to do that, then we're essentially firing the bouncer and being like, okay, yeah, anxious thoughts, come on in, come on. Run amok through my nice brain, all of that. Allow peace to be your guard and be your bouncer. And when you are having those moments, those days, like, remember to go to a secret place in your mind. So the secret place is a place where you and God go and y'all just talk, and y'all can talk about anything. And the secret place in your mind, it is a place for you and God. So you guys create it. Like, it doesn't have to be what someone else says is their secret place. Like, a friend of mine, like, his secret place is a white room, where it's just like the two of them. And I tried that for a while and it just wasn't working for me. And it wasn't working for me because I am someone who loves nature so much. So my secret place with God is a garden that has a waterfall flowing through, because that is where I feel closest to God. For a classmate of mine that I knew a few years ago, his close place with God was a shopping mall. I'm like, okay, you do you. Just sit in the food court, the two of them. For another friend, it's rock climbing, going rock climbing with Jesus. Like, go to that place in your mind. And it's not like when you were a kid, when they're like, oh, you're scared about giving a speech, go to your happy place. That's where you can escape, because the secret place is not an escape. It is a reset. It is a reset and refocus. That's what I want to leave you with today, is to encourage you. Like, one, if you don't have a secret place with the Lord, create a secret place with the Lord, because that is where he wants to meet with you. That is where he wants to commune with you. And y'all can talk about anything and everything. He is your Father. He is your Abba. He loves you. He wants to hear all of it. The good, the bad, the ugly, the stuff you want to hide, like, all of it. It's not going to scare him away. So create that secret place with him and go to it often. And remember that peace is supposed to be your guard. It is supposed to guard your mind and your heart. Study that scripture, Philippians 4, verse 6. Study it, meditate on it, soak in it. Allow it to come to life for you, because it's vital and important and necessary. Like, you are going to be, in this world you will have trouble. Like, we are promised that in scripture, that we will have trouble. But he has overcome the world, and he has given us his peace to sustain us while we go through the fire.